to bribe active soldiers, it has not worked. Every Ambazonian who has picked up arms against Cameroon with the conviction to free the homeland, to defend their bloc, our humanity, is not cheap. Every Ambazonian fighting in the trenches, knowing the pain that Cameroon has imposed on us, the agony that has visited our homeland, is not cheap. Every Ambazonian who has seen the decapitation of Samsoya, the murder of Mami Api, who has seen the killing of Julius, the kidnapping of the Sesekos, the treatment given to our comrades in jail, you cannot bribe them. All those who entered our war of independence as opportunists, thinking it was a place to make a name, it was a place to make a living, they are gullible. I can assure every Ambazonian, we will get these men. We will get this man. And I want you all to become soldiers of our war of independence. Anyone who connives, plot, and scheme with the regime committing genocide in our country to extend its legitimacy, its action of brutality, wherever you do that, that place will be seen as an area of war. We will target you there. Whether you are in Europe, you are in Mars, we will target you there. This is war. This is war. You kidnap our leaders from Nigeria, we will target your own leaders in Nigeria. You attack our integrity anywhere, planning from anywhere, we will hit you in the same place. Any country that harbors you partakes by commission or omission in the acts of genocide in our country. Ambazonia is not cheap. We will not blink until the last soldier of Cameroon is removed from our homeland. Freedom restored, dignity restored. Anyone who tries to undermine Ambazonia's expressed desire to be free from tyranny and oppression knows that you are fighting against a brick wall that you will not be able to go through, because this generation has decided that tyranny must come to an end now. No negotiation, no blinking, no ago, no tomorrow. It will be now. And I want each and every one of you to be prepared. Wherever you are, be a soldier of the revolution. Take the battle to the enemy, wherever they are. My fellow people, the crime of genocide is the most heinous crime, because there is some calculation, there is an intent to eliminate you partially or fully for the purpose of controlling your territory, controlling your resources. It is not a part-time job. Resistance is not a part-time job. It is a full-time job. It is not going to be conditioned on how you feel, whether you are poor or you are rich. The moment you commit to a liberation strategy, you put people's lives at risk. And I know you are brave. You have shown it in your actions in the diaspora. You have shown it in your actions in the homeland. And I can assure you, your actions have translated into progress in our war of independence. And that's why there is confusion in the camp of the enemy, moving from one constitutional amendments to the other, confusing itself. Those are the signs of the end days. But you must be realistic. There will be bad days for us. We will lose men, like we lost General Ivo, like we lost Obi. Bad things will happen. like the arrest of Capo. You must adjust yourself to those realities. Massacres have taken place. Entire villages have been burnt. Many more may be burnt. You might get up tomorrow. I am not there. You might get up tomorrow. A general on the ground is not there. You must build your mind to factor in these realities. You must know the greatest thing you can give to those who've given their life is a freed homeland. Because that's the objective for which they inserted themselves in the first place in our war of independence. Their blood was spilled because an enemy, a tyranny, an alien neighbor wanted to deny them the opportunity to live in a free country. So it's good to feel sad, but get yourself up, fold your sleeves, and pick up the fight again until it's over. There is no rest. My fellow countrymen and women, the coming months will be difficult. I want to remind you, they will be difficult. You have seen what has happened with the so-called Swiss talks. Every conflict I know, even the ones that end with outright victory, like World War II, like the Rwandan struggle under President Kagame, or even the Democratic Republic of Congo, when Kabila came to power, that was outright victory. Even conflicts that end with outright victories, there will be some form of negotiated settlement to talk about refugees, to talk about assets, to talk about liabilities, talk about accountabilities, post-conflict justice system to reconcile broken families, truth and reconciliation commissions to be able to heal a battered community. So somehow, we will be able to meet Cameroon across the table to talk about some aspects. But we have to get it right. And that's what we argued when it came to the Swiss discussion. We know that the hurried nature of that discussion was designed to slow down our momentum, to divert our attention, to take off our focus, and to get us locked in an interface of contemplation and stagnation. That was the purpose of that hurriedly stitched up Swiss talks that violated every basic standard on how international negotiations are brought to bear, how they are conducted, and how they function. And we know definitely that we knew that Cameroon had not committed to it. And that the aspect of exploring avenues of bringing us to talk with Cameroon had not followed standard procedure. Because at the time when they were doing all of these things, Cameroon was continuously engaging in acts of brutality, burning villages and displacing hundreds of thousands of our people. At the time when they were talking about international negotiation, Cameroon was running a parallel process where it wanted to use to legitimize itself. Because as I have explained before, the international system only steps in when a country is incapable or unwilling to resolve an issue which is considered to have reached the level of a threat to international peace and security. And Cameroon has shown all of those qualities. Incapable, because he was defeated. Unwilling, because he was arrogant. And once the international system stepped in, Cameroon became confused and started putting together hurried processes at the domestic level. And let me tell you something. This is the way the international system works. Anytime a country says, I can try, they give that country a chance. because under international law, the country is the primary actor that deals with issues that are considered domestic. And even though we had made it clear that Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia is an international crisis and not a domestic one, the international system was acting like an ostrich. That's why they were referring to us as Northwest, Southwest, confused, separatists, secessionists. They didn't have a qualification for us because the right qualifications had international implications. They didn't want to go down that road. Once they gave us the right qualification, it would have been very difficult to allow Cameroon to attempt a domestic solution. So once Cameroon realized it had lost all the powers to decide the fate of Ambazonia, it put it together these domestic processes that the international system had to adjust its own international process to. And you started hearing noises, we give it a chance, maybe you can walk, adjust it, talk to them. And that is how they have allowed Mr. Biya for the past 38 years to escape international scrutiny, whether in organizing elections that are not free and fair, corruption, extrajudicial execution, systematic torture, as reported by Sir Nigel Rodley in his 1999 report. Cameroon has never really been held accountable. And Cameroon has understood well the international system and played its card well until it met this generation, the don't blink generation. A generation that understands the mechanics of the international system, a generation that understands that having been failed many times by the same countries that voted for our independence, renege on their own decision and their own vote, we have to do it by ourselves. And so we see how the Swiss process unraveled, and we started getting all sort of rumors around. I don't want to deal in rumors. I want to deal on facts that are based on empirical evidence. And so what I can tell you is our decision not to go to Geneva was right. Our decision not to engage formally in that process was right. Why? Each time you engage in a flawed process, you legitimize the process, and it's very difficult to retreat. The Decontassant and the consortium experience this. It is very difficult to retreat once you've immersed yourself in a flawed process where the intent to bring you in was to legitimize it. John Frundi's getting into parliament is another example. Once John Frundi entered parliament, took over parliamentary seats, took over municipal council, it became immersed in the system to legitimize it. A study has been done on how autocratic system like the Biya regime survives. They survive by recruiting the opposition to legitimize their policies of tyranny. That is exactly what the Swiss system was also designed to achieve. Once we refused, because without being arrogant, the Ambazonian Governing Council is the most powerful movement in the Ambazonian War of Independence. There is no doubt about that. You can't negotiate without us. We cannot also negotiate without bringing the others together. But we are the most powerful. And when we say no, no process goes forward. And that is why you found some people trying to readjust a couple of stuff. We are the vanguard of this revolution. We have no interest in governance at this particular stage. We believe strongly in our ability to liberate the Ambazonian people, grant them the powers to decide on the formation of a government based on their consent. And we know exactly how we define our policies based on our experience and knowledge of the system. And so believe in us when we say it's not about time. Believe in us when we also told you, based on what we are seeing, deployment of helicopter gunships in Boya, murdering people, mothers carrying olive branches being shot and taunted, that getting arms was the only way to respond to that level of barbarism. Now, what is the way forward in terms of international negotiation? Cameroon has to commit. In the last days, Mr. Biya has restated his position on continuing the war. That is not a country that wants peace. That's not a country that wants a negotiated settlement. He has made it clear that he's going to use the military. And that's why I am also responding to him by telling you, the Amazonian people, please believe in the forces. Let me tell you something. If you arm the men to the teeth, you will not fly to Geneva. Geneva will fly to Boya. International diplomacy is not for the weak. It's not for those who experiment. It's not for those who conjure, who are uncertain. It's not for those who think it can give you a sense of legitimacy. It's for the defiant, those who show tact, knowledge, depth of knowledge in what they are doing. International diplomacy in the resolution of conflict is for the powerful. It's not for the weak. We do not ask our people to defend themselves. We do not ask you to arm the people because we are warmongering. It's to protect the lives of the Ambazonian people against a tyranny that believes that it can wipe us using the crime of genocide. To protect our dignity so we can gain respect as people who can stand up against those who rob them of sleep and dignity. It's against a system that has given you nothing else than pain and suffering. It is also to show the international system that we can't rely on you. You who betrayed us. You who stood by the regime by providing economic support. You who has been signing oil deals, exploiting our resources to push forward an agenda of occupation of our homeland. We can't rely on the same systems that believe in the status quo. Peace and security at our expense for international transactions. Arming our people is to also show that we are ready to sacrifice for what is ours. No one is going to sacrifice for you. By showing that desire, that determination, you gain the respect and admiration from others. It's not by crying, it's not by mourning, it's not by deputating, sending letters of appeal. It's by flexing your muscles and being able to challenge the same system that has taken over your own right of existence. That's why we ask you to arm the people. I know most of you think there are a lot of things happening, that leaders are quarreling, there is no unity and stuff. No, that's wrong. As I responded to my learned brother the other day, those who prescribe unity as the solution to your independence were wrong. Totally wrong. Strategy is the solution to independence. Let me tell you, if somebody comes in tomorrow and gives you $5 million US and say, go get guns, what do you need a Yaba for? Do you need the opinion of Bohebert? You don't. If you have the strategy, you go forward. The only time unity is quintessential is prior to victory. Because post-independence reconstruction stability depends on your ability to move together as a people. Once you achieve victory as a people, there is a high sense of tolerance from the people to a sitting government. Because it will not simply be sunshine immediately after independence. There will be some difficult periods of transition. And a happy people, a satisfied people who've gotten victory as a people will understand, tolerate, and support and sacrifice. Unity is good, but you should not conflate unity for uniformity. Diversity is beautiful too. People fighting in their own lane like different arms of government, the legislature, the judiciary, the press, and the executive. working without confrontation, we'll still achieve the same result as one body. So when we replace strategy with unity, conflated collaboration with conformity, we lost our track. We made many people's spirit to become dampened because the only thing they saw when we had setback was if we were united. No. If the guys had the gun, what will stop the Alabukam Brigade from overrunning Bamenda in 20 days if you give them 500 AK? Because some Ayaba or some Sako are not united? It's not going to happen. So you have to understand how revolutions work. You have to understand how victory is achieved. And the moment you have that understanding, setbacks will come. But your ability to adjust when there are setbacks is what makes losers and winners. Losers are those who sit in times of setbacks and they are mourning, complaining, blaming. Winners are those who know how to circumvent setbacks, turn tragedies into victories, omissions into commissions, every setback into an investment for progress. And that's why I want to talk about FACO. My people, I know I've been talking for too long, but permit me talk. This is the new year, and so let me cover a lot of ground. Now, first let me thank my brother Bosco. They call him Baramak. He says he's the godfather of the revolution. You can't take it away from him. But thank you for supporting the project to arm FACO, and Barrister Tumasang, and even Mr. Eric Tato. You have others, my staff and wonderful people. The great support we've received from across the board. Now let me assure the people of FACO this. I lived my life in FACO. Let me tell you something. Our main compound is in FACO. It's in FACO. When my father left World War II, he settled in FACO. That's how we grew up. My brothers went to boys' school, girls' school. I went to RCM Newtown. I lived there. My father worked at the hospital as a night watch man at the hospital, the General Hospital Victoria. In 1996, when we had formed the SCYL, my base was Victoria. I had to mobilize Victoria to defend Victoria. I had to identify every military base of Cameroon within Victoria for our purposes of self-defense. I remember vividly at Down Beach, I worked with 5 Ambazonian soldiers. One of them is of late. May his soul rest in peace. I recruited them. That was 1996. They ferried me in a military truck. I entered that military truck as though I was going to do farming in Manawa Bay. But I was going to find out how Manawa Bay is. And I entered Manawa Bay with 2 of us. Looked at it well. Be able to look at it to secure it. I moved from there, going down to Ngeme. I looked at Monkey Hill, the anti-aircraft battery around Sokolo, not Sokolo. As you are entering Ngeme, from the top, the hill that you drive down into Ngeme, on the left side going in, you have the anti-aircraft battery. I went in there. There were 3 of them. So when I talk about FACO, I talk about FACO because of my love and passion for FACO. Because we raise brave soldiers in FACO. It's because I believe in the people of FACO. You know, I come from Mancon. Let me explain a couple of things. I come from Mancon. Mancon is the replica of FACO. of they call the Bakwarians. When they talk about the Bakwarians and you talk about Mancon people are the opposite of the Bakwarians in the northern states because they are cosmopolitan. And that's why I've always defended, because there are many people from the northern states that settled within Fako and in other parts of the southern states. I've helped develop it. And the hospitality of the people of the southern state has been extremely wonderful. If you consider the number of hundreds of thousands of people from different parts that set up home there. And that's why I've always defended them. When you live as a cosmopolitan, that's why when they say, when you hear statement like Bakwere, people are lazy, I say that's stupid, and I explain why. When you live from the northern states and you come down and you pick up a job in CDC, it's easy for you to do that job. And when the person who lives in that community refuses to do that job, you might think that they are lazy. But I want you to look at it this way. When you leave Ambazonia and come into Europe, it's easy for you to do any kind of job because that's not your space. And you turn around also and think that maybe the Europeans are lazy, the Americans are lazy. No. It's because it's easy for you who has left your own homeland to pick up any kind of job anywhere and do it, to secure the welfare of your own people than the people living in that place. That's why we live down there and you have Chadians coming down and repairing shoes, walking around, Nigerians doing all sort of jobs that we could not do. It's a natural phenomenon that when you move to a distant place, you feel like you don't have so much pride to protect. And I think that my desire to arm Fako stems from my love for Fako and the strategic importance of Fako in our war of independence. We controlled Fako. We launched operations within our capital. We could move from our capital down right up to my 4. We could control the my 17 axis. We ran the axis from my 17 right up to Munya, going to Ekona, Muyoka, right up to Meme. Because we had secured that axis using the core peripheral strategy. Disruption, forward intel, and impeding. Fako is weakened. It's a reality, and I am ready to have a discussion with others. I know my staff will be talking to others operating there. I want us to work together there. Our capital state is critical for all of us, and we should not see it as a place of conflict amongst us. We should see it as a place to test our ability to collaborate, to undermine the regime's presence for the interests of the Ambazonian people. And so I will be reaching out to have a discussion with all those who are operating there so that we can test our ability to collaborate as elections are coming up in February. Please, if you are listening to me, stop clicking like, stop clicking love. I've asked my staffs, my comrades, to put up the donation link for Fako under this message. Please stop for a while. Go on that link, put $5, each of you, 10, 5, 20. Let me tell you what I see. We've lost a lot of brave commanders along that axis. Cameroon has been working extremely very hard to undermine our presence within that axis, to use it for 2 purposes. Don't forget, even as we strive for independence, you still have very gullible Ambazonians, weak Ambazonians, who doubt, is it going to happen? What La République is trying to do is to use examples of our defeat in certain areas to show the people within that area that we can be defeated, and to show people within other areas that are still under our control that we can be defeated. It has a ripple effect, a very dangerous effect, a very dangerous psychological impact on the psyche of our resistance. And so sometimes when I turn my focus on a particular area, it is not because our strategy has changed. We will gain recognition even without static control of any part of our territory if we successfully delegitimize, undermine Cameroon's ability to control and exercise the powers of governance. For them, FACO is strategic. Use FACO as an example. They have tried that with Manyu. They are pushing hard. We are countering. In the past days, we have put materials in Manyu. I wouldn't go further. But the strategy for us is not because we want to absolutely control the state, we want to absolutely control those areas. It is to be able to undermine Cameroon's ability to exercise political governance and exploit resources. There is a strategy in place. I call it core peripheral. It's a tactics within the Python strategy. Please, arms is the only answer to the intransigence of Yaoundé. Arms is the response to the nonchalant attitude of the international system. Click on that donate button and put materials into FACO. In less than 7 weeks, Cameroon has called for elections within the mighty state of Ambazonia, the land of the Kuva-Lekenyes, of the brave warriors gone and alive. A system that will provide them with economic assistance has the audacity to call for elections in our country. It's a test of nerves. We are the don't blink generation. We have to make sure there is no single vote cast. We have to delegitimize the system once more and write their obituary in the last chapters of our own history. From the 7th of February until the 12th, those are the dates that all the defense groups have agreed on. All the leaders have been consulted. The 7th to the 12th, the entire Ambazonia will be in lockdown. Our defense forces will be out. Our population should block the entire country. Wherever you are, stones, trees, whatever you can do. I call on all the communities in the diaspora to support your various communities at home to make sure at this time the entire country is blocked. As I said the other day, all humanitarian activities except emergency services dealing with the wounded, Red Cross vans, all others will stop for that period. All foreign embassies in Ambazonia closed down. All foreign nationals, you will be safe. Stay indoors. Respect the laws of the land. We must provide enough materials for FACO and Manyu to a certain extent to give us a 100% victory. What will this victory mean? I know the international system has said, and we know that from different sources, let us wait and see how the elections go, and we'll know our next moves. Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. This cat and mouse game has to come to an end. The international system has to be bold. Overthrow Mr. Biya, replace him with someone who understands the gravity of the crisis and who is able to negotiate Cameroon's exit from Ambazonia. All this hanky-panky, the impact on trade, on international peace and security, and domestic policies of different countries based on the movement of people across borders will hit everyone, the same way the Syrian crisis hit the shores of Europe. Resolving the Ambazonian crisis, granting Ambazonia recognition as an independent state, helping it set up a transitional authority that can provide security, get schools to return, is critical for stability in the Gulf of Guinea and for international peace and security. So my people, the implications of our victory in February are high. It will show once more that Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonians are in charge. That the overwhelming population of Ambazonia have rejected Cameroon. It will force the hand of the international system to change course and to become more engaged in a way that will resolve the crisis, ending with independence for our country. The world should know, as I said last time, if the Magna Carta was good for the Brits, it is also good. Independence is also good for Ambazonia. If people rose up and stormed the Bastille and instituted the Declaration of the Right of Man, if that was good for the French, independence and all its attributes is good for the Ambazonians. That the first country in the continent of Africa that upheld the virtues and values of democracy, tolerance, transparency, accountability, to be allowed to be annexed by one of the most corrupt, decadent, misguided, autocratic political system in the continent, it's not an affront only to the Ambazonian people. It's an affront to the very values, the virtues for which millions of people have laid their lives to institute. The right to be free, to have a democratic pluralism based on the virtues of tolerance and compromise, to have a government for the people, by the people, that exploit resources for the interests of the people. That is why Ambazonians took to the streets. That is why they've risen up in arms to defend. You must see us as a partner in the protection of these ideals. You must see us as a partner for peace, a partner for stability, a partner for justice. The basis for the resolution of the Ambazonian conflict must be based on truth and justice. Any artificial solution will fail the same way it failed in 1961, failed in 1972, failed all over the years of political liberalism. Any solution that does not factor the truth and justice for the Ambazonian people, that translates into independence, into freedom, is cosmetic, will be rejected, will be resisted. We shed our blood for a free homeland, to remember the heroism of all those who died before us, to preserve the memories of children born yet unborn, shattered, lives shattered, scattered across the world, struggling on a daily basis to provide for their families, locked down under anarchy of a system that has provided us nothing but hate and contempt. For the millions of us living out here in exile, Our lives are intertwined with the lives of those who can't go to school, those who strive on a daily basis to stay alive, to stay afloat, battling with soldiers of the enemy, insisting on instituting an alien rule over them. For all those who on a daily basis carry their guns to defend freedom, they are doing so because they know that millions before them across the globe, their great-granddads were exported across shores to defend freedom when it was threatened in Europe, to defend it when it was threatened in Japan, when warriors stormed beaches, regiments landed behind enemy lines. They risked their life for something so real and tangible, so rewarding. That is an ideal that our generation is prepared to lay our lives to achieve. Let the world know Ambazonia as a state has to be recognized. Let Cameroon know that this generation will turn back Cameroon into the Stone Ages if it does not pack and leave. And to all of you locked up in the jails of Cameroon, you are heroes. You should know every day you get up. For us out here, we will fight everywhere to make sure you are not only free, but that you return to a homeland which is free. All the families who have lost loved ones, their memories will forever be engraved in the psyche of the Ambazonian history. To all the soldiers, be reminded, your sacrifices will not go in vain, and that we will pass legislation that will grant every Ambazonian soldier who fights free education, free professional training, free health care for as long as they live. And for all those who have died, their children, their families will receive the benefit of their sacrifices. For you who sacrifice for us, for our freedom, to defend it, to protect our integrity, we don't take it lightly. And that the new nation will remember you, will remember your sacrifices, celebrate your heroism, and that we must continue to battle even in the face of seeming chaos. Be reminded, we are here today because you turn a blind eye, you close your ears to the intrigues and manipulations of a few who think they could hoodwink our cravings for a free homeland to serve themselves. We are mere mortals with our own fallibilities, with our own weaknesses. I want you to project our strength, project the goodness in us, talk about the beauty in us, the love in us, the ability for us as an untrained people to bring our forces together to defend the ideals of freedom, to fight across different European capitals, raise consciousness, arouse the consciences of Europeans and Americans across the globe to believe in the ideals of freedom that is good for the Ambazonian people. That shows the strength of the Ambazonian people. It shows that we are together, that as far as the objective for which we sacrifice are concerned, we are one. Like every people, like every family, who have our differences. The goodness in us will not be determined by those differences. They will be determined by our ability to turn those differences into commonalities, to turn valleys into bridges, to be able to look at the overall good, to be able to look at the overall objective and bury some of those hatchets, rise up like one people under oppression facing the same destiny to write their own story with their own voice and their own blood, so that the next generation will know we did it for them. We died for them. We went to jail for them. We were brave enough to withstand the manipulation of the international system. We were brave enough to see the intrigues of the international system. We were savvy enough not to blink in the face of the domestic political manipulations of a tyranny across our border. And that our freedom will be a torchbearer that will shine beyond our own shores and give Cameroonians themselves the bravery to rise and change their own destiny. This is the generation that can give Africa hope. Don't lose it. God bless you all. Good night and Happy New Year.
Thank God for sending somebody like you to us who will lead us to the promised land, a land with milk and honey. You raise us up so we can stand the mountains. You raise us up to walk on stormy seas. We are strong.
Hail this land of glory, we the Ambazonia, pledge our loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom, and led us to the hero who bowed along with you.
A moment of silence to the people who lost their life in Kifo, country. Hello Ambazonia, I am Ambazonia. I want to thank each and every Ambazonian citizen both at home and abroad for their job well done. My fellow youth and parents, thank you for not sending your children to school and for respecting the 3 days ghost time. There was this, I told Mr. Isa Chiruma that we have no AKA-44, but we've got no fear, we've got unity and love, most of all, God Almighty. We have just proven it to their face and by not going to school, and we are tired of hearing their names. His Excellency Sisiku Julius Ayutabe, and this is coming from me to all Ambazonians, to you. When we are down and all our souls so worried, when trouble comes and our hearts burden be, when we are still waiting in the silence until you come and sit a while with us. Sisiku, you raise us up so we can stand the mountain. You raise us up to walk on stormy seas. We are strong when we are on your shoulders. You raise us up to more than we can be. Thank God for sending somebody like you to us who will lead us to the promised land, a land with milk and honey. You raise us up so we can stand the mountains. You raise us up to walk on stormy seas. We are strong when we are on your shoulders. You raise us up to more than we can be. Long live the governing council. Long live SLBC and Kakuf. Long live Ambazonia. Victory is ours.
Hail this land of glory. We the Ambazonians pledge our loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom. And let us to the hero who fought the land.
Best dream.
Freedom is coming tomorrow.
Lying dead on the street. Gone so soon. Gone so soon. Another broken dream. Lying dead on the street. Gone so soon. Gone so soon. Another broken heart.
My people running up and down, children dying day and night, brothers dying day and night. What is all this? Honorable we, but we stand on your words, no retreat, no surrender. We the freedom fighters.
Another broken dream. Lying dead on the street. Gone so soon. Gone so soon. Another broken heart. If it start like play, ghost town don't come again. Children at home, no more school.
Let them lose 1 year of school and get a better future. What are you talking about? Let them lose 2 years and get a better future.
Lying dead on the street. Gone so soon. Gone so soon. Another broken dream. Lying dead on the street. Gone so soon. Gone so soon.
This is part of the resistance. You will hear me to the end. Are you just angry, Mr. Speaker, that the person you consider your slave, a slave has
So, Ambazonia shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. Ambazonia shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. We come from Omondi and Fako, Dungama to Kupimani Gubawi. We come from Mesa Manyu Boyo. Our freedom is all, our freedom is all, our freedom is all, that is all we're fighting for. Our freedom is all, our freedom is all, our freedom is all, that is all we believe in. We need no more division, let's come together. We're so blessed, Ambazonians, our diversity makes us great. Appreciate one another. Need no competition, let's cherish one another. Our diversity makes us great. Appreciate one another. Need no competition, let's cherish one another. Amazonia shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonia. Amazonia shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. We come from Omondi and Fako, Dongama to Kupimani Kupali. We come from Mesa Manyu Boyo, Lebiana Mechungo Kitunja is all. Our freedom is all. Our freedom is all. Our freedom is all. That is all we are fighting for. Our freedom